The Engine series, a brand new series of paperbacks, ebooks and audiobooks aimed at children aged between 2 and 6 years old. If your child likes engine stories, they should love these. The first one is Little Titch, the Small Engine. Also available in the Engine series: Gideon the Kind Engine, Tok Tok the Clockwork Engine, Rust Bucket the Lost Engine, Sally Steamy the Christmas Engine, Minnie Millie the Engine Looker Afterer, a compilation of all 6 stories in the Engine series, which is All the Engines, the Complete Collection, and an Engine series special, How Tok Tok Became the Great Clock. Contents of Little Titch the Small Engine. Hello Little Titch. Little Titch slips up. Little Titch saves the day. I'm Little Titch, the littlest of little engines, and this is my story. Hello Little Titch. Little Titch was the smallest engine in the world. He was much smaller than any of the other engines in the mainland. In fact, he was the littlest of the littlest engines. Sometimes he felt a bit small too. At this moment he felt particularly small, as a rather big engine was on the railway track next to him. Fortunately, this big engine was a good friend of his, and had a kind of big kindness about him. His name was Gideon. Hello Little Titch, smiled Gideon. The other thing Little Titch loved about Gideon was his huge crane arm, which had a cage at the end of it. The cage would sometimes lift workmen up to do difficult jobs like mend the top of lampposts. Little Titch liked the cage because Gideon would often let him go inside, and Gideon would lift him up, and Little Titch would marvel at all the villages who he could see from so high up in the air. Hello Gideon, said Little Titch. I sometimes wish I was big like you and had a massive crane arm. Gideon smiled down on Little Titch kindly. You are the perfect just the way you are. Remember, great things can come in small packages. Little Titch wasn't sure what he meant, but didn't like to say. But look at me, I'm so small and different. I'm not even a proper steam engine. Oh yes you are, Gideon said sternly. True, you are a bit different, but that's what makes you special. Little Titch knew what Gideon was talking about. Because he was so small, Little Titch did not have enough room to store normal pieces of coal, so he had a block of solid coal, which his driver would chip from when he needed some. The coal chippings would be fed into his engine. The fire from that would heat up his water in his boiler, and the steam would then pump his pistons and move his wheels along the track. Little Titch looked at Gideon hopefully. Can I ever ride in your cage? Gideon laughed. I imagine you're glad you're small enough to fit inside my cage. If Little Titch could have nodded yes, he would have done. But I'm sorry, little fellow. I just don't have the time. I have an important job to take this stone on the flatbed behind me from the mountains to the village. Whatever for? Asked Little Titch, puzzled. Gideon looked serious for a moment. The keystone to the village bridge is crumbling and will soon fall down. This stone from the mountains will replace the old keystone and save the bridge. Then you must go. Goodbye and good luck, Gideon. As the mighty Gideon began chuffing away, Little Titch could hear someone calling his name. He switched tracks to see who it was. A tiny woman who was wearing a flowery dress was rushing towards him. Almost out of breath, the woman reached Little Titch and said, Little Titch, Gideon has accidentally left his flatbed behind him. Little Titch looked. Gideon had forgotten the stone that will save the bridge. The story continues with Little Titch slips up and finishes with Little Titch Saves the Day. The back cover description of it is: say hello to Little Titch, the small engine with a big heart. Little Titch feels very small next to his good friend, the kind and very big engine, Gideon. But when Gideon forgets something important, it's up to the littlest of little engines to save the day. For the rest of the story, please grab a copy of either the paperback, ebook or audiobook. And don't forget the other books in the Engine series. I hope you enjoyed that preview. Goodbye. Chuff chuff.